Over the past few years, we have seen some major updates to Pokémon GO to the point where the game is actually in a really good place. But there's still a lot of different areas in the game that are in need of a major update, and I want to talk about them in this video. So today, we're going to be going over different parts of Pokémon GO that are in desperate need of a rework. Hey, how's it going everyone? Jinsula here with a brand new Pokémon GO video, and I hope your day is going really well, and let's get right into it. So, I feel like Pokémon GO is in a good place. They have made some really nice changes over the past couple of years, and a lot of these changes are definitely producing a much better player experience. I think they did a lot of really good things for the leveling system, for the friendship system, and all sorts of good things, and when it comes to playing Pokémon GO on the daily, it's just a positive experience, and I really do think Niantic deserves a lot of credit. Ever since they got bought out by Scopely Inc., it seems like the focus has shifted more towards gameplay and the player experience, and it has made Pokémon GO such a better game. But there's certainly other areas of Pokémon GO that just need an update. They're just completely outdated at this point. So that's what I want to talk about in this video. I really do think that if we can get this discussion going, then Niantic could start taking notice and actually provide a really nice update to these areas of the game. Now, the first thing that I feel needs a major rework is kind of an obvious one, but the gym battling system. Of course, the gym battling system did see a rework earlier on in the game's history, but I think it's very much overdue for a new rework, because when it comes to gym battling, it is a very essential part of the game. You do need to keep up with your gym battles in order to get those Pokecoins for free. I really do think it is something that a lot of players have been doing, and it also can be quite grindy and not as rewarding as it used to be. I think there needs to be a rework, and I know some players are going to disagree with me, but they need to go back to creating essentially a lot of competition between the teams, because that was one of the fun parts of Pokemon GO's heyday. I do know that a lot of players thought that the team battling was kind of like a way of getting griefed, and of course there was a lot of imbalances. I think in the beginning, Team Instinct was actually pretty low compared to Team Mystic, and then Team Valor was kind of in the middle, and it really showed when it came to different neighborhoods, because you'd see a whole bunch of Mystic gyms but very little Instinct gyms, which made things very difficult for Instinct players, but you also saw a lot of Valor players just going around trying to take gyms. It really was kind of fun. But at the same time, I totally recognize that there were a lot of players who were griefed because of the gym battling system, but I think Niantic could come up with something cool and kind of bring back some of those team rivalries. That's something I've always been wanting, and maybe they will come up with something that could be a good middle ground. I do not know, but regardless, the current gym battling system is so outdated, and there needs to be a better way and a more engaging way for players to get their free Pokecoins every single day and actually make this part of the game relevant once again. Now, another thing that I feel needs a bit of a rework, or at least an update, is Community Days. This has been one of the most consistent events ever since they were released. I mean, pretty much every single month we have 1 or 2 community days, and they're usually a way for them to either introduce a shiny or bring back an old shiny and give them a really good move. It was always something that consistently was good content, but I think at this point it's also very old content. I think a lot of players have kind of lost their hype for community days, and I think Niantic needs to come up with something different, something new, or at least give community days a fresh coat of paint, something that they could do to get players excited again, because I do feel like every time there is a community day, less and less players are interested in them, and that is kind of a shame, because community days have always been a great thing. I always enjoyed community days back in the day, and I felt like their addition to Pokemon GO was such a really cool thing, but they haven't really done much with them over the years. I mean, essentially they've added a few things here and there that did actually spice things up, Like, for example, after the pandemic, they actually added this mechanic where you would do 4-star raids and get extended community hours, essentially. There was another thing that they tried out for one community day. I don't know if you guys remember this, but they actually had it so that occasionally you would see the first stage evolution of the community day Pokemon, and it was a way for you to get extra candies. I thought that was really interesting. I think it was actually for Dino Community Day that they did that. But again, they didn't do it afterwards. I don't know why. I thought that was a really cool idea. I think they should go back to it. Whatever the case may be, community days need something to make them really excited and also something feeling fresh and brand new. So yeah, hopefully in 2026, this is something that they could do. Community days definitely needs an update. Now, a third thing that I feel needs an update, and really I just think this needs just a total rework, is the PvP system. I do enjoy the Go Battle League, especially this current season, because I'm actually trying, but in general, it just feels like the PvP system is just completely niche, that not everyone is going to be able to get into it. There is a lot of gatekeeping, there's a lot of resources that are tied to it, and it's just really hard to get excited about it. And I really do think this is something that could produce a lot of longevity for Pokemon Go, but Niantic needs to rework the system to make it a lot more inclusive, to add different elements that allows players to continuously do PvP battles even if they complete their 5 sets. Whatever the case may be, I really do think PvP is definitely in need of a rework, and it's about time that they do it. Also, the gameplay itself, it's very, I don't know, it is nice that it is simple, but I do feel like there is just way too much luck involved. There's not necessarily too much of a skill issue. I don't know. It just doesn't feel fun to play at times. Like, even myself, when I'm grinding out the PvP battles, it does get very cumbersome after a while. So I don't know, maybe they can come up with a more engaging system. I think the old system did kind of work at the time, but I think they could come up with something better, and I really hope they do. So yeah, PvP is one area of the game that I definitely think needs a rework. Now, the fourth thing that I feel needs a rework, I don't necessarily know if this actually needs a rework, but it's the routes system. So I do enjoy walking routes. I do think there are different elements of it that actually do give you a rewarding experience, but I think they could add a little bit more to them to actually make them more engaging and actually worthwhile doing. I think a lot of players do routes consistently, but not enough players actually pay attention to them, and I think that's something Niantic could change. Maybe they could have it so that very specific, very exclusive Pokemon only spawn in routes, or they could have it where routes could give you some unique encounters. I don't know what it could be, but I do think routes have kind of not lived up to their potential. I think they're a great form of content that could produce a lot of very positive experiences for local communities and players, but Niantic does need to give them an update, and I hope they do, because yeah, I think it's potentially something really cool for the game that they could tap into, but we'll just have to wait and see. Alright, and the fifth thing that I want to talk about, and this is something that I've constantly talked about on my channel and I've always been championing, but I want to see an update to the Buddy Adventure system. I think the Buddy Adventure is one of the funnest aspects of Pokemon Go that not a lot of players actually engage in, but I think they could do a lot with Buddy Adventure to actually make it a core part of this game. I mean, it's not just with the rewards. Obviously, like getting your buddy Pokemon to best buddies is actually going to be pretty cool for it. Like, you're going to get additional levels whenever you have it as your buddy, and of course you get all the candy that you get from walking it. But just in general, I feel like there should be more. The grind is intense. To get 300 buddy hearts is just going to take a lot of work and a lot of consistency, and for most people, that consistency doesn't actually pay out because, yeah, even though you get those 2 additional levels, it doesn't necessarily feel as impactful as it could be. So I think this is something Niantic could look into. Maybe they could have it so that the Buddy Adventure system is a lot more impactful when it comes to raids and PvP. Whatever the case may be, I do think this system needs a bit of a rework, and maybe they could come up with something that will get a lot more players actively doing Buddy Adventure every single day, and I really hope for that. Alright, and finally, this is something that I've recently been thinking about, but I think they need to come up with more ways to power up your Pokemon. Specifically, once you max them out completely to the highest level, and then you unlock both charge attacks and all that good stuff, maybe after you bottle cap them and get them to 100%, there's a lot of room for them to be even more stronger. I don't know, but there's some ideas that I've thrown out over the years. There's like a prestige system that I think would be very interesting, where you could actually prestige your Pokemon, where you max it out to the max level and then you essentially reset it, bring it back to level 1, but it will have a much higher cap when you max it out once again. It's kind of like a system that you see in other games, especially in gacha games, where you could max out a character and then you could essentially reset it, and then you can have a much higher cap. I like that idea. I think that would be really cool for Pokemon Go. It would definitely produce longevity for the game, because people are going to have their most powerful Pokemon, prestige them, and then they're going to grind it out to power them up once again, and just repeat the process until they have like a crazy powerful version of that Pokemon. I think it's a cool idea. I'm surprised Niantic never came up with anything similar to that, because once you essentially max out a particular Pokemon, you're done with it. There's no reason for you to actively engage with that Pokemon aside from maybe bottle caps and hyper training. So yeah, I think additional ways to power up your Pokemon would be really cool. Maybe they can integrate it with certain aspects of the game, like maybe with the new gym battling system, or maybe with, I don't know, some sort of new battling system like Dynamax battles. Whatever the case may be, I think there should really be more ways to make your Pokemon even stronger than they currently are, and I hope it's something Niantic actually explores. So yeah, these are the areas of the game that I would like to see updates. Of course, there's plenty of other areas of the game that could definitely use a rework, but I'm just going to talk about the ones that really stand out to me, and these are the ones that did. And yeah, I would definitely hope to think that Niantic is thinking along these lines, because as much as I like new content, as much as I like them introducing new things in the game, I always feel like it's better for the game when they continuously update previous content just to keep the game fresh. I think that is a better approach to game design, but hey, I'm not a game developer anymore, so it's just really up to Niantic to come up with cool ways to keep the Pokemon Go player base engaged, and I really hope they do that. But in any case, that's going to be it for this video. Definitely share your thoughts regarding everything that I talked about down below. I would definitely like to know what the community is thinking. Is there different parts of the game that you feel like deserves an update? What do you think about these areas of the game getting an update? Definitely share those thoughts in the comments, and let's have a great discussion. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Also subscribe if it's your first time here, and also turn on that notification bell so you know exactly when I upload videos. And also check out the links in the description below. One of them is to my Patreon page, and if you want to play Pokemon Go with me, definitely go and check out my Patreon, because that is how you can do that. I add all my Patreon members to my Pokemon Go friends list, and I always prioritize them for remote raids and all that good stuff. So if that is something that interests you, go and check out my Patreon page. A link to it is in the description below. And also, let me mention that I have an Etsy store, and I'm creating a whole bunch of stuff on the side, like anime and K-pop merch. It's all pretty cool. And yeah, if you want to go and check that out, there's a link to it in the description below. Maybe you'll find something that you would like. That would definitely be a way to support my channel, so definitely go and check it out. And yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself today, and I'll see you in the next video.